Hello everyone. How is everyone doing? Hi, this is Kriti, your host, and we have with us Melanie Wood. So she is a coach. She's been teaching people how to become a great speaker, and she's from Australia. I I welcome Melanie to the talk show, and the topic today is how to become a fearless speaker. So, Melanie, talk about it.
Yes, thank you so much, Kriti. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. This is such a topic that is connects so much to my heart. I'm so passionate about helping people to become fearless speakers. And just touching on before we come on about fearless means more about fearless. So being able to really share your passion, share your vision, really share your message and story with the world means becoming a little less fear every single time that you do that and still getting up to do it anyway, because it's not an easy thing for people to do, to get on camera, get back when we're able to go back in front of an audience. It's a scary thing, and I know that firsthand for myself, that was absolutely petrified of public speaking. And now to teach and coach people, and now to be on stage and be on camera. So I want to really touch a little bit on my own story about becoming a fearless speaker and how I really help people to do the same. So I was petrified of public speaking all of my childhood days, teenage days, adult days as well. I used to sit in school and wait for the bell to ring at the end of the day, going, yes, I made it through another day without having to get up in front of the class to do any form of speaking. And literally I would live my life going, please never have to do that. And I managed to survive quite a lot of my childhood days and teenage days never having to do that. And then when I got into my adult days, then I was then going to university, I was climbing the career ladder, and more I was then faced with having to get up in front of people at university. As I was climbing the career ladder and becoming a manager and a leader, I was then having to chair meetings, all of these things that I had managed to avoid at all costs. And then I used to take my role as a manager to be able to delegate to other people, to be able to speak for me instead and go, you can learn a skill, you get up and do it. I'm not going to do it. And I literally lived my life like that, of literally avoiding delegating, because it was a fear. Like I absolutely hated it, and I had such a lot of fear around it. I would go for job interviews and my face would be bright red, my hands would be sweaty, it would just be awful. And I think I've even cried in interviews because I was just so nervous and so scared about really being there and speaking. And it wasn't until I'm from the UK in Scotland, and I live in Australia. So I came to Australia 7 years ago now. And it was on a bit of a whim. I was coming for a year holiday in Australia. And when I came over here, I started to think, there's just a lot of things that I really want to overcome in my life. If I've, now embarked on this year long in Australia, the other side of the world, let's just really go for it. And then through a friend of a friend, I ended up going to a public speaking program and organization. And I really started to overcome that fear. And I started to see the bigger picture around being a good communicator, being a speaker, that I just started to see this was where I was meant to be. And I thought, if I can overcome it and stand in front of people, then let's being able to help other people do the same, because so many people have amazing messages and amazing stories inside of them to be able to share with the world. And sometimes we just need to get a little bit of help to overcome a lot of those fears and a lot of those things that hold us back from being able to do that. And I know firsthand around sharing your own story and being vulnerable and being authentic is super scary as well. Not just getting up in front of people, but then also being vulnerable. And a lot of the things that I was taught around public speaking was very around technicality, very much around body language, tone, voice, which is absolutely great. However, I started to lose a sense of myself. And something deep inside of me, it really didn't, I felt like I was getting further and further away from myself, because nobody ever said, you know, that message was really heartfelt, or, you know, that's really connected with me. It was all very much around the technicality. So I ended up, I stopped going to that organization, and I started to learn and teach myself another way of around speaking and public speaking, and really embracing authenticity to become that fearless speaker. And to really just touch on a little bit of my own story. So I'm really passionate about helping people share their story. And 20 years ago, when I was 18, I ended up in a marriage when I was 18, got married when I was 21. And for 6 years, I was in an abusive marriage. So a lot of that has then given me that drive and passion and motivation to overcome that fear, so that I can share my story, but also being able to help other people do the same, and particularly women, because I lost a lot of sense of myself. I lost my voice, I lost my confidence, I really lost who I was, and then spent 12 years not really knowing who I was, not really knowing how to be my authentic self, because she was lost. You know, she got lost in 6 years. And then 12 years after, she was still very lost as well. So now, you know, I'm in my late 30s, coming up for 40. And now I really feel like I can really step into myself and really be vulnerable and authentic. And this is what I'm so passionate about, helping other people do the same, because I've had plenty of times where, you know, things that the sledgehammer has come into my life because I'm not listening to what my soul's telling me. And I really want to be able to help other people awaken their inner self, that inner self that's just being like, right, come on, when are we waking up today? And when are we going to have that call to adventure? And those are the things that I really want to help people do, and have a life where they've really been able to be true to themselves, and really be able to help other people. So that's something I'm really, really passionate about, and really about sharing.
So you just reminded me of my childhood when I used to be very, very, very shy person. Like I didn't have friends. I used to hang out with my sister's friends, and they would tell me, "Oh, why don't you go and be with your own friends?" I didn't have any friends, so I was a very shy person. And I remember I used to sing. I used to sing well, but I wouldn't go to the stage, and I didn't participate in any of the competitions. I would say I am nervous. Like that was my statement, and it was okay for me. Every person should going on a stage would be frightened. So
Yeah.
it's okay. So I would say I am frightened. I am nervous. So
Mhm.
um, and everyone like it's not necessary that you are a public speaker and only then you need to have a voice of your own, right? Melanie, would you agree that every person has to, in their life, has to have a voice and needs to become a fearless speaker? Because this is required in any field, right?
Absolutely. And with my clients, they're not necessarily always people that are speaking on stage. It can be people in an organization, and they want to become a better speaker, a better communicator. And what I love about I teach as well around my clients and organizations and corporates, it's about helping them have empathy and emotional intelligence for themselves and for others. Because again, I'm really passionate about workplaces, because I've been in them myself before I started my business. And if it wasn't for a coworker of mine 15, 16 years ago, I wouldn't be here today, because she really took her shoes off and put mine on and asked me one day if I was okay. And I wasn't okay. I was really in the midst of an abusive marriage, and I'd managed to keep it hidden for such a long time. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here today. So I'm even more passionate about helping that person. She was a fearless speaker that day, because she had no idea what she was entering into with asking me that question. And when she did that, it gave me permission to say I wasn't okay. So that's that part of that fearless speaker, is that asking people if they're okay. And especially in workplaces, because we get so engrossed on the day-to-day business of everything, and suddenly that person in your workplace that you go, oh, that's just the way they are, that's them, but nobody's ever stopped to go, wonder what might be happening at home for them, because we're so engrossed in ourselves that we never ask those questions. Because again, that we're scared because we don't know what the person's going to say, or they might come back and say, oh, I'm fine, you know, why did you ask that question? We never know, but we're never going to know unless we ask. So that's that part of fearless, is that everyday conversations that we're having with people, it starts there. And yes, if it's, you know, being on stage is somewhere you want to go, absolutely fine. But it does start with the everyday communication. And I have such an emphasis of that with my clients of, don't wait till every single time you're on camera, every single time that you might be running an event or a workshop. Don't wait for those times. Do it every day with your friends, with your family, and practice it so that it becomes a habit. Because one of the things that I really teach is around mindset. Because if we don't change our mindset, then we don't get clear. We don't then move past what's holding us back, because we're not working on creating new neurons in our brains. And that's something, neuroscience is something that I'm really, really passionate around, helping people to create new programs. Because we're not going to be able to do things that we're fearful of if we're not working on ourselves every single day. And that is a foundation that I teach people, is of, you have to be able to build the confidence, is instilling that confidence in yourself and being able to get into the right mindset. Because public speaking, in terms of the fear, is around, that's a myth around when we say, I'm scared of public speaking. You're not scared of public speaking. You're actually out of 4 fears that you are scared of, but we put the emphasis on as public speaking, when actually it is about fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of loss of control. That's what we fear, because again, when we put ourselves out there, we might get rejected, we might get judged, we might make a fool of ourselves, or we forget our words. That's what people fear, not around public speaking or around communicating with people in a workplace. So being able to really unpack that, and when we start to get to the bottom of what is actually happening for you, it's then easier to work through that and have a process of overcoming that, rather than it's just around, I'm scared of public speaking.
Yeah. So what tools would you suggest? Like, how do you give us some tips?
Yeah. So and I'll share a little bit about what I do as a routine, and some things that I do teach with my clients and my audience. So for me, meditation is a massive part of my life. I get up every day and I meditate, and it's something that's really helped me being able to overcome those fears, because you start to get to know yourself better. So I have guided audios that my clients get as well, to be able to help them be able to visualize, and it helps the brain go, I've had that conversation with that colleague, I've spoken in front of that audience. So being able to start programming that you've been there before means when you get there, your brain goes, we've already done this, like we're okay with this. So really around meditation is massive around there. I also say to my clients, my audience, to write down what your worth is, which means write down all of your achievements that you have to date, personally or professionally. Because as soon as you start to know your achievements and your worth, because a lot of the time, especially for women, is that we have this kind of lack of confidence, we've lost our voice, we have self-limiting beliefs, we have a lot of stress as well. A lot of those can be factors with not knowing our worth and our achievements to be able to speak what we want to speak. So knowing what your achievements are, then when you go, okay, I might want to speak to this person today, or I might want to get on camera, or I might want to stand in front of a group, then I say, set your intention for you. What do you want to experience out of that? So a lot of the time it could be is, I just want to be present. I want to build up to enjoy. So rather than overthinking this big list of all the things that you want to achieve out of it, start small. I'm going to be present. I'm going to enjoy it. Or, you know, I'm going to be able to just be present for myself. I'm going to be relaxed. I'm going to make sure and check in with my body. Am I tense? Am I tight? No, I'm going to make sure that my body is relaxed. And then you want to think of an outcome for the other person. So having a clear focus on, why are you speaking to that person? Why are you speaking on camera? So think about, you've done your attention for you. Now, what is it about the audience? So do you want to empower them? Do you want to educate them? Do you want to inform them? So once you get clear on that, it really makes it a lot easier. So I say to people, do it on a post-it note, close your eyes and visualize that. Then it makes it easier, because do you know why? You've done something before you're about to do some form of something that's outside your comfort zone, and you've taken the focus off nerves, fear, judgment, whatever it is, because you've done something beforehand. And then I say, access a fond memory is number 3. And you recall a special moment from the past that fills you up with pleasure and joy. And it could be something or someone. And then what happens is your body will relax. You're just in that sense of positivity and warm and fuzzy. And then you're ready to communicate with someone, because you've done something for you. And now it's about the other person, and it's about the audience. So what I say to people is that it's never about you. It is always about the other person or the other people that you're speaking to. You've done something for you for 30 seconds to a minute. Now it's over to the audience. And that's a way of really reframing and really taking the onus off all of the inner thoughts that are going on through your mind when you go to do something that might feel a little bit scary.
So can you just talk about that thing that you spoke, set an intention? So what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? I didn't get it actually.
Yeah, so setting something, so you go, okay, I'm going to speak to that person today, but I'm feeling a little bit nervous. Or, you know, that inner voice has said, I don't think you should do that today, or that's not a good idea. So you start, that monkey mind will start telling you you shouldn't do it, or it started to create the worst case scenario by speaking to that person or getting on camera. So like for me is that I do this every day myself. So I write down, I'm getting on today to do an interview. My intention for me is to be fully present in the moment, because I want an intention for me that I know that I'm doing my best to what I need for me in order to be present and of service to the audience. So really, I suppose it's a focus, setting a focus, setting an outcome for yourself, just setting something for you that you want to achieve. Because sometimes when we do something scary is that maybe our hands might shake, our voice might wobble, we might do some of these nervous twitches. So you might say, do you know, I've now become aware that I do these things. Do you know what? I'm going to actually go, I'm going to maybe do a bit of a power pose, or I'm going to stand grounded on both feet rather than kind of, you know, standing to one side. Getting completely grounded will then reduce some of those things that you do that make you feel nervous. So it's just setting something, becoming aware of the things that you do that you could start to be able to change.
How important is taking action? Because as much as I know from my experiences, like uh, we are quite used to getting being in our comfort zone and not taking action, and then we call it that things are not working for us. So how
Yeah.
important is to take action and just go ahead, even if it is like it's like scary, quote unquote.
Yeah. That's right. And it is about, you've got to just do it. So, you know, with my clients, if I allowed my clients to, you know, go through the motions of, right, okay, so next week you need to have done a video, and then they haven't done it. And then you go, well, what's, you know, it's kind of then what's the point of us doing what we're doing? So I'm then there to start building an accountability as well, of going, I know that you're scared. I know that it feels uncomfortable, but you have come to work with me because you want to overcome those things. Really about the taking action is, again, it's about writing it down, committing as well. So then I say to people, set a date to when you're going to do it, because then we go, I need to do it on that date, so I've got a deadline. So when you create a date of when you're going to maybe do that speaking, then what you can do is you can work backwards with, what's the thing that I need to do each day in order to achieve and do what I need to do on that deadline. So you're creating daily actions. And I did a video recently around procrastination. So it tends to be when we've got something that's really out of our comfort zone, we will procrastinate. And I find it is one of the biggest problems around speaking and communication. It just gets put in the back burner. It's not a priority. Or I'll be fine, I'll sort it out the day before, and say you've got like a 2-week time slot of something coming up. And you go, okay, I'm going to do things every day. Or you haven't actually really planned it out. And you kind of in your head go, I'll do it there. Stuff turns up. Other things become a priority. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And because you haven't set the actions of what you need to do, you procrastinate. The inner voice comes up and tells you, oh, you probably should have started 2 weeks ago. It's a bit late now. And then, well, maybe you need to cancel it because you haven't got enough time now. So procrastination is what happens when you don't take action and do little things each and every single day, which then when you get to the day before and on the day, it just becomes really stressful. And your stress is heightened, which means then you're not present for people. You then just go, oh my God, thank God it's over now. And you're just absolutely exhausted. You haven't enjoyed it, and you actually haven't done the work to be of service to the other people by putting in the work beforehand. Communication is a skill. It's not a skill that it becomes overnight. You have to work at it. And I know firsthand that I have been working on it for over 7 years, and I still work on it every single day. So it's something that you have to be doing, and it has to be a priority around what it is that you want to do, because we communicate every day. Whether it's in person or on camera, we are communicating every day.
So a lot of my my audience would be, I suppose, would be healers, coaches, and those kind of things also require that you get on camera and just speak and be yourself. So what you're talking about is like not getting into that technicality of it and losing yourself and being artificial and not connecting with the audience basically. um, yeah, so that makes sense. And doesn't it get easier if we like kind of do small bits and not like overwhelm ourselves by taking a big job and say no, I'm going to do it now. So yeah, so that's very very nice, and I really connect with that. Yeah. So, anything else that you would like to say? Just Melanie, I just wanted to know, did you give us a freebie for the audience?
Yeah, so I have a freebie. I can send you the link. So I have a free download. It's a PDF of how to be able to take the steps to do some speaking or communication. And it literally takes you from the foundations right up until, so it's a caterpillar that turns into a butterfly. And it tells you basically 15 steps on how to do presentations or how to do a next talk, really getting clear on that. It also comes then with 3 videos of me talking you through all of those steps as well to really help you. And I suppose I just wanted to add, just when you mentioned there about really, really taking the little steps each day, and then to be a fearless speaker, to be authentic, it really is about coming out of your head and into your heart, which I know can be really hard, because a lot of the times is that when we speak on camera, is that we then speak the way in which we think people expect us to speak. So then we don't speak from our hearts, because we're too caught up in our heads around what will people say if I become more authentic, or I become myself, or if I become vulnerable, which means you never connect fully with what you do, what you value, what you passion about, because you're scared of what people might think. So the way in which we connect with people is fully being ourselves, speaking from the heart. And you know, the people that connect with you will want to be able to connect with you more. And the people that don't, just means that that's not where they're at. And it actually helps to filter out the people that you really want to work with, because they get it and they go, you're the person I want to work with. You're the person that I want to follow and connect with, because I resonate with what you're saying, because I can connect and feel from the heart from it. So when we don't fully embrace being a fearless communicator or speaker, we then attract the people into our lives or into our audience that don't particularly gel with what it is that we do, because we're not fully being ourselves. And that's one of the most important things that I really focus on. And again, firsthand, I've seen that for myself with who then I attract and who comes into my life. So again, thinking about it from everybody watching and tuning into this, is that the future benefits of sowing those seeds and really being true to yourself is that imagine being able to work and connect with those people that truly are your type of people that you want to really be around and connect with and help make a difference in the world.
Yeah. And about procrastination, I remember that when I left my job and I said, this is the thing I'm going to do. So I sat there for 6 months. I said, no, maybe I'll take this course first. I'll take that course first, and then I'll be able to do it. And then suddenly one day I said, no, no, this is not working. This is not what it should be like. And then I just jumped into one day and said, oh, I'm going to do it. And that is how it started. Otherwise, you might just go on procrastinating forever. And you would stay course after course, course after course, course after course, and never take action.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah.
Absolutely, because tomorrow never comes. You've got to just do it today and go for it, because and courses and things like that are great. Working with coaches, absolutely. However, if you don't take that action, tomorrow just never will come. And it is about being comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yes. And how much do we get used to the things that we start doing? Right, like I remember when I was like working with one of my colleagues, and I agreed to do calls with her and classes with her, and I used to host her. And first day was like really uncomfortable, and now 2 years down the line I'm like fully comfortable. I can just go on and um, have a tea and walk around and then kind of do that same thing. So you get used to the things that you start doing, not by not doing it, right?
That's right, exactly. And I wasn't comfortable on day one to get on camera, to go live on social media. I wasn't comfortable with getting in front of an audience, but I did it anyway. And then, yeah, it just becomes second nature. And yes, I say to people, yes, there's some form of nerves that even I sometimes get with, going on to stage of quite a number of people. But I said, but it's in a different way, though. It's more around, we're still doing something that's very unknown, and our brains will always be going, this is not a safe thing to do, right? It's a primal thing of we're putting ourselves out there. But it's just about being able to recognize that nerves can be good in a way, because it reminds us to be present, it reminds us to be of service. But then it's in front of, as soon as the camera comes on, as soon as you step on stage, it's like, you know what, I'm going to turn them into excitement, and I'm really going to be of service to people. But it is, the more that you do it, the more that you grow that muscle in your body and in your mind. And then you think, wow, like, oh my God, I feel pretty great about doing these things. And you're just able to do it. So yeah, the more that you do it, the more that you will become comfortable being able to do it.
Isn't it great? You just said that it's just that we think that it's fear, and it's not fear. What if you understand that it's excitement, and you're excited about talking to people and giving your message to them? Yeah. And the second thing is like, don't we grow as we like venture into new things? So now I'm comfortable with doing this, and then later on, when I maybe when I am in front of thousands of people, um, it's uncomfortable, but then I conquer that, and then I move on to the next step. So that's how we grow, right?
Yes, that's right. So I say never feel like you're arrived. And I say to people, you don't have to necessarily do what I do with growing myself and being on stage and wanting to be in front of more and more people. That's my journey that I'm on, and I'm growing and becoming uncomfortable with those types of things. But it's about, I say to people, don't get fully comfortable with every aspect of what you do, because again, you never grow. So it's like, once you get to the point of you're comfortable with what you're doing, go, well, what's the next thing that I can learn? Because you've done it before, you can do it again.
Yes, that's really great. And I just wanted our viewers to know that here we spoke about something, talking to audience or something like, but you may not be doing that. You may be very much in your life, and then also like taking different steps and growing, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Definitely. And maybe being able to use family members or work colleagues and go, do you know, today I'm going to practice certain things around my communication, or I'm not going to let people bother me as much as that I normally would do. I'm not going to get frustrated or react. I'm going to start responding. One of the biggest things that I teach my clients in everyday life and in corporate land is around listening more than you speak. So the more that you can listen, you actually become a better communicator and speaker when you listen more, because we miss so much of what people are actually saying. Because again, that comes into the emotional intelligence around what's actually going on for that person. They might be a little bit, maybe angry, upset about something, but it's not at you. There's something else going on for them. And when we can sit back and listen, we start to hear that actually what's going on for that person. So I'd say as well, for everyday people, start practicing listening every day with your friends, your family, people you know, and do it as a game and go, I'm going to listen today. I'm going to see what things I might be able to actually hear when I'm not in my own head or looking to react the way that you normally would do.
yeah, and the reaction things reminds me like, how much do we love to react rather than respond? And which one is more effective?
Exactly. And again, it's reframing everything that we do. It's a learned habit of how we communicate. We've learned that way of consistently finishing people's sentences, jumping in and interrupting, because we think that we have the answer and we want to fix people and all of those things. And actually, it's just learning to be able to go, I'm not going to react. And at the end of the day, like, we all react. We're not perfect in any way. There's times where I react and I go, oh, I didn't really listen that well today. That's okay, but it's just recognizing that you can make changes in your everyday type of communication and speaking to be that fearless person, be someone that's different, and be able to communicate and really be there for people.
And lastly, I would like to you to say, talk about that thing that when because especially in this times, there are a lot of people, and otherwise also in our lives. How many times we think we experience something and we say, "Oh, it's the end of the world. Now nothing is gonna be okay."
That's right, exactly. And over the last few months, we've all had to deal with change in very different ways. And each of us reacts or responds to changes in very different ways. And really, yeah, taking a bit of a step back and going, okay, like we've all in the whole world, we've experienced this upheaval, but what is there something that I can do in my life to help me with that change? Because we have all been affected by it and triggered by it and touched by it in some way, especially family members and different in terms of works and business. But it's about being able to just stop and go, you know, what's something that I have learned out of this? What's something that I could potentially take forward from this? So again, it's going from that fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Especially when we are in business or we are in an organizations, there's always going to be change, and change is the hardest thing for people to do. So being able to recognize that there's certain things that you might, and it comes back to fear. Change is about fear as well. So what part of fear is holding you back from making that change? Start to write it down. And you might need to connect with someone, you might need help with that, and that's absolutely fine. And I think if you're not able to do that for yourself because you're struggling, then connect with someone and get help, because again, it's being authentic and vulnerable to say, hey, I'm really not coping with this. I need to have some help with this, or follow different people. And even for myself, I have downloaded some online programs around things. You know, I went back to working with people that I used to work with, because again, you know, wanting to come out of this as well with a different type of mindset to when it all began. So really about going, do I need help? Is there any things that I can listen to, read that could potentially help me?
Yeah, so I would like to acknowledge here and be vulnerable. Like, yeah, when I started as a healer, it was not like all of a sudden. So it's like I had my own set of, those moments when I thought that it's the end of the world. But yes, I seeked help, and then I didn't go to a, quote unquote psychiatrist, because that is not what I like doing, having medicines and all. So I went the spiritual way, and then it was totally a different path after that, because when you change from within, it's a totally different thing, rather than on the basis of medicines, or because that kind of numbs you down, according to me. So it could be
Yeah.
different for other people, but it kind of numbs your senses when you have too much of medicines. And whereas if you go for these small simple tools that your coach gives you, or your healer gives you, you kind of evolve from within, and then your mind is stronger, and you are able to take baby steps out of that and work on your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I fully agree. And so for me, it is a spirituality path for me, absolutely. And I believe that, yeah, when we do, and sometimes it is going to see doctors and psychologists, sometimes that is needed, but also as well as to think of what some other alternatives that you could be doing, because again, I believe, and I've been down that path. I've been down the path of, all of those different things. And again, it was just a mask. It's a Band-Aid. It hasn't fixed the actual problem, because I wasn't aware of I could actually heal myself, and I could do so much work on myself. So absolutely. And it is a lifetime journey when you look within as well.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Melanie. Thank you. It was an amazing talk, and I hope our listeners have taken their notes, and they would practice this, and hope this contributes to everyone. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and everybody go out there and become a fearless speaker and communicator in everyday life.
And get to creativity. Don't ever stop creating. Thank you.
Thank you.